Hello everybody, welcome to this video. Now today I'm joined by my good friend Lachlan,
Hello.
and today we're going to be talking about Hamilton's new 2-year contract with Mercedes. I'll be honest, I did not know about it until the knobhead messaged me. So I
Yeah.
guess we're just going to be just talking about it, mainly of how it doesn't really affect the driver market, but it doesn't really affect the driver market that much,
Yeah. It
obviously.
it it was always going to happen. Let's be honest. There was never a doubt in anyone's mind that Hamilton wouldn't sign on again for the next because it's for the next 2 seasons. So it's for the next season and the season after that.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be next
you
year
have
in 2023.
yeah. You have to think though. Has because it does seem sort of very sudden. Like Hamilton obviously said that he wanted to get his contract talks out of the way before the summer break. Uh, but do you think maybe that the contract talks were rushed because of Max Verstappen and Red Bull leading the championships this season, or do you think it was always going to be on course to be completed around this time?
Um, I think it's mainly obviously going to be Verstappen. That's like the main
Yeah,
cause, because they are currently still leading the championship and they are looking like the favorites of the Austrian
yeah,
Grand Prix. That'll be
yeah,
happening this
definitely.
week, which I'll be talking about that when the race finishes, which is most likely going to be on a Monday. But there's also now that obviously Hamilton, his contract is all good now. We just then have to really think of Valtteri Bottas. Is
Yes.
Bottas going to be sticking with Mercedes, or is George Russell going to be in Mercedes? Because these are questions that people really want to know by now. Um,
It's
because
ridiculous.
because it really it's kind of like Mercedes choice that set in the future. Because we already know that Charles Leclerc is the future of Ferrari. We already know that
Oh,
Lando Norris is the
yeah,
future of McLaren. We already know that
yes.
Max Verstappen is the future of Red Bull. Who's going to be the future Mercedes when Hamilton has to retire? Is it going to be George
Yes.
Russell or is it going to be like another driver? It's most
Because you
likely
also
obviously going to be
need
George
to
Russell.
think as well, think about Esteban Ocon, still technically part of that Mercedes driver development program. He is, there are people out there that are making a definite shout for him to also be given a call up as well.
What about maybe this actually may seem out of the blue, but what about Van Dorn or De Vries?
Yeah, De Vries Van Dorn out in Formula E.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's. I don't think there would be a single driver out there that wouldn't take that seat if they were given the opportunity.
imagine if Nikita Mazepin got the Mercedes seat. Oh God, if he was still with
Oh yes.
Mercedes, because he was technically part of Mercedes in the
Yes,
past,
yes, he was.
which is
Because
impressive.
he did testing with Force India
He did, yeah,
back in the day, back in the days.
yeah. So he has extended. So obviously he extended his deal. This is what Hamilton said. It is hard to believe it's nearly 9 years working with this incredible team, and I'm excited. We're going to continue our partnership for 2 more years. We've accomplished
Mhm.
so much together, but we still have a lot to achieve, both on and off the track. I'm incredibly proud and grateful of how Mercedes has supported me in my drive to improve diversity and equality in our sport. They have
Yeah.
themselves accountable and made important strides in creating a more diverse team and inclusive environment. Thank you to the dedicated and talented individuals at Mercedes whose hard work makes it all possible for the and the board for their continued trust in me. We're entering a new era of cars which will be challenging and exciting, and I can't wait to see what else we can achieve together. So
Yeah.
I think the main one is also going to be the new cars that is also going to be entering 2022 next year.
Yeah, the new
Because,
regulation changes.
because
You
every
also need
team
to
may
think as
change.
well the budget cap as well.
Yeah, it's like 140, 135 I think next season. I can't
Could
remember.
the contract also have something to do with that coming in?
It is a possibility, but it's a very slight possibility. I'll be honest. I don't think I do not think the pay, like the gap. I don't think it's really going to be changing a whole lot of things for like Hamilton, but for Mercedes it would definitely change a lot.
Oh yeah, you got to think they have been leagues ahead of F1 for the past
Like since 2014.
half a decade.
Yeah, since 2014.
Absolute miles ahead. Hasn't even been close. This is the except maybe 2018. This is the probably one of the closest title fights we've ever had
Yeah,
in recent history.
yeah, definitely. Also, this is a very interesting piece from Toto Wolff. As we enter a new era of F1 from 2022 and onwards, there can be no better driver to have in our team than Lewis. No better driver to have in Lewis, other than Lewis, which makes sense. But
I mean,
we also
it's.
mainly want to know about Bottas's future.
I think Bottas is going to be out of that Mercedes seat very soon.
Yeah, if he doesn't perform up to spec.
Exactly. He. How many times have we heard about Bottas 2.0? And
Very little.
this year will be our year. We hear it every year. It's like Ferrari fans. Oh, this year will be our year. This year will be our year. It's never been their year. Hasn't been since 2007.
Mm, I would have said also maybe 2012, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Because they were very, very close. And 2017 and
Yeah.
2018. But that's about it.
There's no prize for second place, I'm afraid, Riley.
Other than money. But yeah, so at least like Hamilton's contract has already been released. We just now need to know about the Bottas's future. Maybe Russell, maybe Ocon, maybe even De Vries and Van Dorn, or maybe I'm just going on a limb here. Maybe even Verline. Maybe comes back. Maybe just
I,
maybe.
I I think Porsche will want to keep a tight hand on him in Formula E because he's been doing really well so far this season.
It's like okay.
Definitely better than Andre Lotterer has been.
And
So
maybe like what about maybe like Frederick Vasseur, he may like I don't know like do some testing for Mercedes, so like because he is part of their junior team, so maybe like he probably does some testing with them maybe as well. A lot of question marks for Mercedes obviously as we look
yeah,
into the future for 2022. So there's
Mercedes has definitely got a very difficult situation on their hands.
yes because they have never been in this situation since like
Exactly.
2019. So with Hamilton's contract out of the way, I guess we'll just talk about the practice results that has happened for the Austrian Grand Prix. So we'll talk about FP1 first. There it is. So got Max Verstappen first, so Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Raikkonen. I don't know how he did that. Lewis Hamilton,
Because
Sergio Perez, Pierre
no,
Gasly,
no, no.
Lando
Hey,
Norris, myself in
hey,
the
hey,
top
hey,
10.
hey, hey, hey. Whoa, whoa, hey. Don't be saying I don't know how. I Alfa Romeo have found pace this year.
Yes, they have, but sixth place. It's surprising to me,
All right.
and
You may.
and with Hamilton behind him as well in seventh place.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Okay. And outside of the top 10, behind Norris is Ocon, then Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou making his FP1 debut for Alpine, Sebastian Vettel, Callum Ilon making his FP1 debut, Mick Schumacher, Roy Nissany, Nicholas Latifi, and last place Nikita Mazepin, 2 seconds off the leader. Any surprises there in those results, other than Kimi?
Well, I'd just like to really just congratulate Guan Yu Zhou. You know, first time in a F1 car competitively,
Yeah,
and he outperformed a four-time world champion in Vettel. Like,
yeah, true.
you can talk about the cars, you can talk about the tires, but when it comes down to the wire, I can definitely see potential in Guan Yu Zhou.
Yeah, yeah, same. He has a lot of potential. He's currently leading the F2 standings as well, and the next race is going to be at Silverstone, where
Looking forward to
I
that.
think he's actually performed pretty well there in the past. So that's FP1. Obviously, Verstappen, first place. The Ferraris in second and third, which is very surprising. Hamilton is seventh. Sonoda somehow in fifth place in our AlphaTauri. Also, congratulations also to Liam Lawson, who actually got Red Bull's first win in DTM in the debut. I just want to say, I actually forgot to mention that. Uh, so now in
Yeah.
so now in FP2, and it looks a bit of a scare if you want a very entertaining race. Both on Mercedes, Hamilton and Bottas in first and second. Max Verstappen, Lance Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, and Antonio Giovinazzi ran out the top 10. Then Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi, and Nikita Mazepin ran out the field. So it looks like the Mercedes are now
You,
back in top in FP2.
it's it's always hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's definitely not hard to tell with Daniel Ricciardo struggling in that McLaren. He's been struggling this most of this year, and and he does have a two, and he also has he also has a 2 year contract with McLaren, so he'll be start so his contract ends next year. But with his performance of him struggling, it's not going too well for him.
Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing somewhere Andreas Seidel, the team principal of McLaren, saying that the McLaren car apparently requires a very specific driving style, and that is a driving style that Daniel Ricciardo doesn't have. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo is very aggressive, likes to overtake, likes to do it at every possible opportunity, and obviously the McLaren car isn't built to do that. Um, so were McLaren maybe too hasty in snatching up Daniel Ricciardo and maybe waiting out for a different driver?
Personally, I would have just got another driver who's like the same driving style as Lando Norris. That's what I've done.
Because
But
the other thing is in that scenario. I mean, like obviously it's obvious to tell now, but back when we all thought Daniel would do well, who was going to be the first driver in that scenario?
true.
Because whenever there's a team where both drivers are of equal caliber, there's always that friction. Like you've got to remember Mercedes back with Hamilton and Rosberg, Red Bull with Weber and Vettel, Red Bull again with Ricardo and Verstappen. There's always going to be friction between drivers if they can't figure out who their designated number one driver is.
Yeah, I do have that Ricardo does actually becomes more comfortable with the car. I really do hope because he's obviously a very talented driver. He's only has
Oh yeah,
7 wins. The massive overtaking, and I'm definitely not being biased at all because I am a Ricardo fan, but definitely one of up there is one of the best drivers in the current grid.
oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, it just sucks that obviously he's not really doing well in the McLaren, but hopefully in the future he does do really well. Anything else you
All
want to
the,
add? Okay,
all
yep.
he'll need is one race where he'll just click, and after that he'll be flying.
Yeah, true. So I guess we're actually getting into the results. So who is your who you think is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix, and who's also going to qualify in pole position as well? So I guess the first time was
Hmm.
qualifying. So who do you think is going to qualify pole, and who do you?
Qualified pole.
Yeah,
Oh, hmm, I'm for pole. I'm gonna go with Hamilton. I think with the new contract, he'll sort of have that motivation to show why Mercedes have given him that new contract.
hmm,
But I do think that Verstappen will win the race.
okay. I think it's just mainly going to. I think it's going to be very close, but I think it is most likely going to be Hamilton, just like with the contract. And to be honest, I think Hamilton is actually going to win the race. I think that
You,
I think the contract motivation will definitely carry him further, and he'll probably win this race. And the losing streak for Mercedes. Was it like four? What was it like the first time that Mercedes hasn't won like the last four races since 2013?
I know. Yeah, it was the first time that Red Bull had won like four consecutive races since like 2013.
Yeah,
Back when Vettel was at like peak dominance
yeah,
with the Red Bull team. Um, so yeah, one could make the argument that like is Max Verstappen at Red Bull the new Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull?
it is.
Um,
It is. It's most likely gonna happen. Maybe it is likely.
and yeah, the thing is, you look at Sebastian Vettel for his teammate during those dominant years. He had Mark Webber.
Mm,
He had a teammate that could was able to help him get those results, help carry the team. But
mm,
since 2013 ended, Red Bull haven't really had a second driver. Like you look at 2014, Sebastian Vettel did not do well at all. It was Daniel Ricciardo all the way for that year.
yeah.
Then after that, they brought in Kvyat, they brought in Gasly, they brought in Albon. What's happened? All of them have ended up being dropped.
Yeah.
Now though, they've got Perez, and you can tell he's able to help the team get the results that they need to challenge Mercedes.
Mhm.
When it's a way I see it. You compare, say, Baku from this year to um, Bahrain last year.
Yeah.
Um, you know, both them. You look so Baku this year. Verstappen goes out, and a lot of the other front runners goes out.
Mhm. Yeah.
In Baku, Perez is able to win that race.
Yeah.
Yes, he got lucky with Hamilton locking up into turn one, but he won. But you look at Bahrain last year, the exact same thing happened. The Mercedes ran into trouble. Verstappen was out after colliding with Leclerc on lap one. What happened with Albon? He struggled, and Perez won. Perez won that race as well. So I, with a competent second driver, Red Bull can challenge for titles, and I think this year is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. Definitely. I do have to agree with you with that. But obviously that is going to be the end of the video. So FP3 that will be starting actually now in 15 minutes. So if you do want to watch that, you can. Or in our time. But yeah, that'll be it for the video. And catch you guys on next time in the next one.
Yeah, see you next time.